Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Full On Football. Today we'll be comparing two of Liverpool's most prolific strikers in Premier League history, Mohamed Salah versus Luis Suarez.
Wow. So when we're comparing the two Liverpool clash of the Titans, really, two Liverpool, can you call them legends? I think we'll call them legends. We'll go with that. What we're looking at here is we're not looking at a career as a whole. We're not looking at the career as a whole because I think obviously Suarez gone on to Barcelona, bigger and better things and all of that. And Mo Salah as a Liverpool career, if we're looking at Liverpool career as a whole, I think with what he's achieved over like the 4 seasons at Liverpool, pretty clear win for Mohamed in that one. What we're actually looking at today is their greatest individual seasons whilst playing for Liverpool. So we're looking at 2013-14 Suarez, 2017-18 Salah. So, quick fire. I'm putting it to you. Who have you gone with?
Salah. You?
Salah.
Salah.
You're winding me up.
No, Salah. 100%.
It's Suarez.
Suarez. Why?
Has to be Suarez, mate. You look at what Suarez did that season. I think, scored 31 goals, tied at the time the Premier League Golden Boot record, which is great. 12 assists and obviously nearly carried Liverpool to a league title, which, let's be honest, wasn't a great Liverpool side, was it? And I think that was proven the season after.
No, great point. Players like John Flanagan, Kolo Touré involved in that team wasn't a great side. I maintain he underpinned it. But hang on. This is the same Ben Edwards who told me that when they sold him to Barcelona following that season, that you weren't sold on him. You didn't think he was very good. And you're trying to tell me that he's had a better season than Mo Salah.
I'll put it on record. Absolutely. I thought he'd flop at Barcelona. I didn't think he'd fit in. I always thought with Liverpool, I thought he used to give the ball away a lot. I thought technically, the passing and all of that, the tick-attack that Barcelona played, I just didn't think it was going to fit Suarez. And I think on reflection, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Do you know what I mean? I've actually realised how good he was. You can't deny the statistics at the end of the day. He was just prolific for the 3.5 seasons he was at Liverpool. But this season in particular was, for me, the greatest individual season in Premier League history. It was that good.
Yeah, you didn't think he was very good because he gave the ball away all the time and he couldn't pass it.
It was just I didn't think he'd fit in at Barcelona with their style. I think you could probably, if you put yourself back in that time period, you could probably see my argument with that. The fact that I didn't think he'd fit the slower style of football, I couldn't have been more wrong.
Who would you, as a defender, who would you have rather played against? A 2017-18 Mo Salah or 2013-14 Luis Suarez? Because you tell me all the time, Salah's movement, unplayable, one of the best in the world, which I maintain, unplayable, relentless, brutal. You've seen the goal against Manchester City, even the assist for the first goal. Just like, what can you really do to stop him? From the first minute to the 90th, he is at full tilt every time. He is just relentless to a level that we haven't really seen, I don't think, in the league. Suarez, very similar sort of attitudes, I think, but in terms of the physical power and prowess of Mo Salah, we haven't really seen that. And personally, as a defender, I'd rather play against Suarez. I feel like I can get Suarez sent off. I don't think I can get Salah sent off. I think I'll just pull a hamstring at some point throughout the game.
The honest answer to that, mate, is I'd ask the manager to be on the bench. I don't fancy it today. I really don't. No, in all seriousness, I'd rather play against Salah. With Salah, I know what he's going to do. I know the runs in behind are a nightmare. He's going to make it 30 times. He's not going to stop. He's relentless. There's no doubts about that. But when he gets the ball, I know he's cutting in on his left foot, albeit, like you said, against Man City, he actually went on the outside, rarity. But he's got good feet. He's not the most skillful. I feel like nearly always he'll cut in and shoot. But you are right. Strong, quick, relentless. He would be difficult to play against. But I think, to be honest, mate, I think I'd do a job on him.
You would?
Yeah, I'd keep a clean sheet. No bother. I'd keep him out.
It's like the Iron Robin, though, isn't it? You know what he's going to do. It's just how do you stop it? I think that's the issue. I think Robin had a bit more cuteness about him than Salah, but I do take your point. He is quite predictable, albeit so relentless that he just gets one right. Every game he seems to just get one right because he is that relentless and brutal with it. Suarez 2013-14, only 33 games, missed the first 5 games of the season. Does that sway you even further towards him? The fact that, albeit entirely his own fault, he was quite hamstrung that season, to get the numbers that he had was even more incredible.
Massive factor for me. People forget that. Listening to Rio Ferdinand the other day on this exact debate, actually, and he went Salah on the basis of the fact Salah obviously does hold the Premier League record for goals in a season, 32 goals. Didn't mention the fact that Suarez did actually miss 5 games, which is a pretty big proportion of the season, really. You know, sort of a 7th and 8th of the season. And also with Suarez that season, obviously, you'll remember Liverpool's running against Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, and then the final game of the season, I think, was at home to test my memory here. I think it might have been Newcastle, but I can't remember. I'd have to double check on that. Suarez actually had I'm going to call it a goal drought in inverted commas. You know, I think he actually went about 2 games without scoring towards the end. But there was a point in that season that he was about 2 or 3 goals ahead on goals to game. As in what I'm getting at here, he'd scored 30 and played like 28.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. And the goals that he was scoring, obviously the Norwich goals stand out, don't they? The Norwich goals, sorry, not goal. The amount of like long range goals, the header from the edge of the box. Do you remember that? Header from the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Newcastle goal, plucking it out of thin air. Just some of the goals he scored that season, absolutely unparalleled. And not to mention the fact he did actually get 12 assists and didn't take a penalty. So,
yeah, you can't really argue with that. Not to mention that Gerrard, it was a period of the season where Gerrard got about 7 penalties in 4 games. I think he had 2 at Upton Park in that game. I think they beat West Ham 3-2 or 2-1 at Upton Park. I think he had 2 penalties in that game.
3 at Old Trafford.
Gerrard had a hat-trick of penalties at Old Trafford, didn't he? Scored 2 of them at the post for the other. I remember, I think he had a last-minute penalty at Craven Cottage, Gerrard.
Yeah, that's right.
Season. So, and that's just off the top of my head. That's 6 penalties. So if Suarez takes 6 of them and scores even 4 of them, you know, it's 35 league goals. It's unbelievable, really. Not to mention Suarez probably won one half of those penalties in that time. I guess I take your point on what an incredible season it was. I think the issue, obviously, he didn't win anything. That doesn't help. But like you said, they played in a team, really, that didn't dominate the ball. They weren't like the Liverpool of now. I know the Liverpool side is kicked on since that season that Salah had. I think they were very much a counter-attacking team at that time, albeit against the smaller teams, they dominated the ball. That Liverpool side didn't, did they? Like I mentioned, John Flanagan wasn't a great player. Lucas Leiva, Joe Allen played a lot that season. The front 4 was great. Gerrard was great. But the back 4 as a whole wasn't really. I think Skirtle scored quite a few own goals that year. It wasn't an elite team. So I do take your point. And according to my stats, I've got here 3 free kicks Suarez scored that season, which is
I think that was the season he scored that one against Man City where he curled against Wall. Might not have been, that might have been a different season, but I'm pretty sure it was. And what a player he actually was. I think people don't appreciate how good he was at Liverpool. People talk about how good he was at Barcelona, and it's almost a bit disrespectful at times when you're talking about the Premier League greats. So I don't think Suarez's name ever gets a mention. Perhaps he didn't stay for long enough. I will take that on board. But for me, mate, it is the greatest individual season that a player's had.
Compared to Salah, then we're looking at Salah. 36 appearances, 32 goals, 1 goal more than Luis Suarez. He took 1 penalty in that season. Well, scored 1 penalty, that is, and 10 assists. So really, pound for pound, there's not a lot in it. We were splitting hairs, really. The records on the whole are pretty identical. Big difference, huge difference. Mo Salah played right wing. I know he's a forward. He played right wing. Suarez was the number 9 or a number 9 in a team. Mo wasn't. Mo was right wing back half the season. He was up and down. He was defending at the edge of his box. He was covering every blade of grass. Suarez was no slouch. He did work hard. I'm not knocking it. As a wide player, to score 32 goals in a season. 32 goals in a season as a wide player. Now is quite. You feel like it's quite normal with Ronaldo, obviously, on the wing. But in the Premier League, that is unheard of, really. Ronaldo aside, and not to mention that Suarez outscored that great Ronaldo season. So, sorry, Salah outscored that great Ronaldo season. I think that sort of sums it up.
Yeah, and look, in terms of the winger scoring more goals than number 9, I do think there's a point there, albeit don't want to get into it too much. A goal is a goal. But if a midfielder scores 10 and a striker scores 15, you'd argue the midfielder, 10 goals from midfield is more valuable than 15 from striker. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But the goals from wide are probably worth more than the goals from centre forward for Suarez. I think what you do forget, though, is that season that Firmino did actually score about 25 as well, all comps, and Mane scored about 20. So what you were looking at there was probably Liverpool's front three in their prime, probably 100 goals or pretty close to 100 goals, all competitions between the three of them. The attacking brand of football that Liverpool actually played in that season was obviously advantageous to Salah. And had Suarez played in that side, I can't help but feel like he would have outscored Mo Salah.
Yeah, you might have a point with that. I think seeing them in the same team would have been a treat.
Yeah, wouldn't it ever?
What would you have done?
I can't help but notice you in your argument for why Suarez didn't is because he didn't win anything in that season. But I'd like to remind you, Mo Salah didn't either in that season. 2017-18, Liverpool did get to the Champions League final, and they did finish fourth in the league. And finishing fourth in the league was last game of the season. So it was very much the objective that season was to finish in the top four, and they did get to the Champions League final. Great season, like I said, from Mo Salah, probably second in terms of the individual great seasons. It was absolutely breathtaking. But again, he didn't win a trophy, so it's even on that front. If you're going to use that front against Suarez, you've also got to weigh the same against Salah.
Yeah, I take your point. It's not. I think. How much do you think the fact that Salah went on to win a European Cup, a league title, do you think that sort of like sways people towards Salah? And you look at him through rose-tinted glasses because he went on to do this, that, and the other, and he will be an iconic player for years to come because he broke that duct, that 30-year duct. He won the European Cup. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Yeah, 100%. And look, exactly, and rightly so. In terms of their Liverpool career, like I said, there's one answer. It's Mo Salah because of those things you've just mentioned there. In terms of the Liverpool career as a whole, if that's what we're judging, I'm going Mo Salah for all of the above reasons. It's 4 seasons of consistency. He has been at that level for 4 seasons, where Suarez grew to that level whilst at Liverpool. Yeah, he didn't come in at that level from the very beginning. So definitely in terms of the Liverpool career, it is Salah, no doubt about it. But then career as a whole, like I said, career as a whole is an interesting one because I think I'd probably have to go Suarez, career as a whole, with what he's done at Barcelona. But there is an argument there for Salah. But we are talking just individual seasons here. And in that individual season, I reiterate the point again, he didn't actually win anything. So don't let the fact that Liverpool won the Champions League the following season and the league the season after that influence your decision when purely isolated. We're just looking at 2017-18.
Mo Salah in that season, I think the biggest critic I could have of him, and I maintain this at the time, and I've said it many times since, he scored 32 goals. Superb. I thought he should have had about 62. There was games where he literally, Liverpool would win 3-0, he'd score 1, set up 2, for example. But he would miss. I don't think I've seen a player miss chances like Mo Salah, and I think that's the biggest criticism I have of him. So that 32 goals was great. I don't think I'm at all being over the top when I think he could have had 50 with the chances he missed.
No, I thought his finishing, especially that season, it's got a lot better. It's got a lot better now, but in that season, yeah, he could have had way more than 50, mate. He used to miss hell of a lot of chances in that season. And I think that can somewhat cloud your judgment, but then it comes back to the movement thing that you mentioned. He gets those chances, so can't take that away from him. But for me, mate, I'm absolutely locking in my answer. It is without doubt for me the greatest season in Premier League history is Luis Suarez, and that is why, for me, judging them head to head, it has to be Suarez.
I guess he didn't. I guess the difference is as well, Salah didn't score at Old Trafford that season. Actually, Young had him in his back pocket, whereas Suarez tore Man United to absolute pieces in that game. It was 3-0.
3-0, scored a goal, won a penalty. I think he might have won 2 penalties. But yeah, unbelievable. Got an assist as well. No, he definitely scored a goal, won a penalty. Yeah, massive influence on the day. Oh, won he ever.
But ultimately, we're looking at Mo Salah, first season at the Premier League, 32 goals as a wide player, playing in a front three of players that all scored goals. He chipped in. He wasn't the only goal scorer on that team. Everyone scored goals. Right wing, 32 goals, only 1 penalty, 10 assists, could have had 50, whatever you like. I think, unanimously, we're agreed that Mo Salah had the better individual season than Luis Suarez, hands down, non-negotiable. And this is full-on football.